rebounds, assists, usage percentage, defensive rating. I mean, he really did the whole thing. So do the Pacers need to reduce his workload, or is it more about him just getting used to it?
See, I think he was new to the game. And what I mean by that is he's never carried a team before in his career. He's always had a support system around him. He's been the second, third scorer on a lot of teams. But when you look at what he had to do last year, I mean, they asked this guy to sell tickets, I mean, cook the popcorn. He had to do a lot of different things for his team to be successful. And just, when you have to carry that kind of a load and you're not accustomed to doing it, I could see you wearing down, especially playing against a team like Cleveland in the playoffs in the first round. If you remember, they played well against Cleveland. They gave Cleveland a scare mainly because of the youngster Oladipo.
And I think, Harps, you said it best. I think he wore down because he didn't have that consistent second guy. And we watched the playoffs, and especially with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they threw bodies at him. They trapped him off the pick and roll and made him give the basketball up. So I think for Nate McMillan, also Oladipo, it'd be great to see him off the ball a little bit more. But they got to have that second guy that Harp's saying to take the pressure off him. So I don't say so much it was him, of his play, is just the style of play and the defense he was going against. They weren't going to allow Victor Oladipo to beat them by themselves.
So we talked about a second consistent scorer. What about just having 5 guys that can actually handle the basketball? So you're not worried about getting it to him coming up the break every time or him starting the offense out. I mean, the league's going that way anyways.
Well, their bench guys do a good job of that. Corey Joseph, for one, Darren Collison, Steve, you talked about him a little bit earlier. I think they have the right mix, and I think Nate, I mean, you talked about Nate being a sensational coach, especially on the offensive end, freed those guys up to do what they do best as offensive players. They score a lot of easy baskets because of Collison, Corey Joseph, those guys' ability to get inside and make plays for other people. Thaddeus Young is a big part of what the Pacers are about, and they just have a lot of good players outside of Oladipo, not great outside of him.
I have another question, too, just from your personal experiences. It seems like Oladipo, 5 years in, now he's figured it all out. Maybe each year he figured out something new. But this season, the leadership really seems to be there. And going into the season with that mentality of, I am going to have a lot of minutes, and I am the man. So he flew the whole team to Miami. He wanted them to bond and play golf. He wanted the new guys to adjust. And he said, I don't want to look back and think I could have done more. Because he said last year there were moments that he thought that. Is that about the right amount of time for a star to feel really comfortable and be really hitting a stride in his game, about 5 years?
It's different for different guys, and I think he just didn't have the opportunity. I thought he came out in Orlando where he was trying. I don't think he was ready then. He played well, but I really thought he got a chance to watch Russell Westbrook. He wasn't the guy. He had to learn how to play off Russell Westbrook, but I think more importantly, he felt comfortable. Nate, give him a lot of credit, put him in a position to be successful, and then he transformed his body. He was never out of shape, but he got in phenomenal shape to carry this load. And I think his confidence level, Harp, went to another level.
It did, but I think people equate leadership to the leading scorer. And that's just not the case. I think you have to learn to lead. And he's on the right track because I think trying to build continuity before the season actually starts for you as a basketball team is really huge. I worry about a lot of people on that team. I'm curious as to what they're going to get off their bench and some of the role players, what their roles are really going to be. But Oladipo, I think he's going to be fine. I think it was a learning experience for him to go through what he went through this past season.
Well, we have someone else we need to talk about, which brings us to point number 3. Last season, supposed to be the year that big man Miles Turner really had a breakout year, take the next step in his game, but his scoring, his rebounding, his shot blocking, it all went down. He did make a lot more threes, but his free throw attempts were down from 2016 and 2017. Point number 3 is this the year that Miles Turner finally steps up, and can this team survive if he doesn't?
I say no, that they don't survive, because I see Miles Turner. I watched him in Dallas quite a bit. He played high school ball down in Texas, and I saw a guy that was perfect for the NBA, the direction that the NBA is going, a stretch big. That's what it's all about. I don't know if it's touches in the right place, exactly what the issue is, but he has a tendency to go away sometime as an offensive weapon, and I don't think the Pacers are good enough if he's not going to average 16, 17 points a game and, 6 rebounds for your center. That's never a good thing.
No, you're not going to get it done, and I'm with you, Harp. I look at it, and like you said it best, Allie. First, your big got to be so aggressive. He got to get more free throw attempts because he has a great touch. That area has to go up for him. I think just overall aggressive, putting your mark on a game. And Harp, sometimes your offense is not there but can you make an impact without your jump shot going? Can you make an impact without your scoring going? And for a big, as old school and coaches say, you got to go down there and rebound the basketball. 6 is not going to get it for him. He's athletic. He's talented enough. I think he has to get that number close to double figures. And like Harp said, 16 or 17 points for the Indiana Pacers to take that next jump.
He has not matched what I expected him to be as a player yet. Still young. I think that's the other thing that you got to take in consideration. He's still growing. It takes some guys longer to figure it out than others when you talk about a guy like Miles Turner.
He's been doing a lot of yoga, so I'm going to go with the young
He has. He's got abs now and everything.
abs and
really
everything,
transformed that body.
You
I've
think
been
abs
doing
make
a
jump
lot.
shots?
I've been doing a lot of
No chance.
yoga too hard, but I don't have no abs.
Well, if you don't have it, you know I don't have it. Right?
Guys, I have one more question when it comes to Miles. I looked up some of the numbers, and Coach McMillan said, I want Miles to play more with Sabonis than with Thaddeus Young. And that's something we really want to start transitioning to this season. But the numbers from last season, they don't tell the same story. When he's with Sabonis, his numbers are way down compared to when he shares the court with Thaddeus. And I know a lot of other factors go into that. But the team also had a negative net rating when they were on the floor together. So how do you see him and Sabonis and that chemistry going in the lineup when they're together?
Well, I think all great players is obviously there's better fits, Hart. But with his skill set, we see it. He can shoot the basketball. Sabonis can shoot the basketball. They can play with each other. It still comes down to whether with Thaddeus Young or not. No one's stopping you from rebounds but yourself. I mean, that's where I think Miles Turner, and I think he'll get it. I think he'll have a fantastic year playing with Sabonis or not. I think he understood. We talked about it in Summer League. I got a chance to interview him, that he's ready. And Harp, you said it best. He put on a little bit of muscle. He has those abs now. And I think he was young, no excuse. But
Right.
as you have more experience, I think he's a smart enough young man to turn around. I think he's going to have a great year.
In a lot of ways, they're the same kind of players. Both can stretch the floor. I think Sabonis obviously more physical in the paint and has more of a presence there. A lot of times when you get bigs on the floor at the same time, it bogs down the whole floor. The spacing is bad, and those guys are stretch bigs, so you just don't get the kind of rhythm shots that you're accustomed to when you're on the floor with two bigs a lot of times.
So I'm writing this down for him for Miles Turner. Oh, my pen broke. Jumper, abs, perimeter defense, rebounding, and we got more for you after the break on how he can be better at the pick and pop. Smitty and D. Harper take the court
You need to write
break
down
it all down.
abs for me. Do that.
All-star doing a little bit of everything. Oladipo from downtown. His fifth three-pointer stolen by Oladipo. Stevenson back to Oladipo. Oh, he backs it home. Had to get rid of it with the shot clock expiring. A dazzling display by Victor Oladipo.
So the Pacers added veterans Tyreke Evans and Doug McDermott to help take some of that scoring load off of Oladipo. And their first-round pick, Aaron Holiday, impressed during the Vegas Summer League. The rest of the major players return, including underrated point guard Darren Collison. We've moved over now to the court, and you guys had some good ideas about the pick and pop when it comes to Miles Turner. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to let Derek Harper start off with
Well, pick and pop, pick and roll, whatever you want to do. It depends on the two players. But I think the key when you start talking about pick and roll basketball, I think it's important that both guys are offensive-minded guys. Take, for example, a guy like Oladipo. You put him in the pick and roll with a guy like Miles Turner. Miles is a great pick and pop guy, but I think you want to make the point that if he could get into more of a rhythm pick and roll, mixing it up as far as the pick and roll is concerned,
Yeah,
he'll
Harp,
be
I'm
better
going to have you out there where you were very comfortable as a
Yes,
point
I
guard.
am.
Ali, you want to guard Harp? You got to guard Harp, but I want to just show you.
It's a good time to get me,
Have you
Ali.
seen my
This is a good
foot
time.
speed? Have you seen my
This
foot
is
speed?
a good time to get
Ali,
me.
don't follow him too hard. And I love Miles Turner. He does a good job because a lot of times you want to get out here and set a pick. Harp comes off, and you can see the pick. I set a
You want
pick
me to
on
go over or
Allen.
under?
And no, you can stay down.
I like it, Al. I
And
like
when you
it.
fade here, they do a good job. He throws it, Oladipo or Darren Collison, and he knocks down shots, right? But when you really want to take advantage of Miles Turner, it's because of his size, Derek, and
We're
his
gonna-
athleticism.
Probably best if we go on the side pick and roll.
Let's go on the side pick
Yeah.
and roll. So you got to go over there.
All right,
You got to
cool.
play some defense. I know you got your heels on.
I'm feeling lazy
9-inch
today.
heels. So I'm going to come set this
I'm
pick.
playing NBA defense right
So
there.
if I
No, I'm
hit the
just kidding.
pick right here, and if I roll and Harp hits me with a nice pass, Miles Turner has to be so aggressive, I think, in my opinion, because of his athleticism,
Yes, sir.
where if he's not dunking this, if he's not scoring, he's getting fouled and he's getting to that free throw line. When you talked about how he gets to the free
Yeah.
throw line so less frequently than most people. With his size, you're going to miss or make, and you're not getting to that free throw line hard.
And having the ability to do both is when you go to a different level in the pick and roll situation. If you're just going to be a pick and pop guy, defenses know that. As much scouting that goes on in this league, they know that all you're going to do is that. So if you mix things up, obviously you're going to be a little bit more effective as an offensive player.
Well, and I think too, Miles Turner needs to get more comfortable just triggering, the three from right off the screen, because I mean he's a mid-range guy. He's so much more comfortable there. His numbers are better in the mid-range. So you said when you go to the basket, be confident. I think we need to see that same confidence from him on the three-point line. That'll come with more reps.
And I just think when you have that type of size, when he rolls in a pick and roll, he's one step, not even one dribble. He's one step into the basket, and usually guys got to run because the spacing right now, hard to come be over to take a charge.
Right.
You're going to be too late. You pretty much got to foul him.
He's a pretty talented kid. I mean, it's not beat up Miles. It's not what we're trying to do. But for the Pacers to go to that next level, I think it's important that he improves.
I have a lot of confidence in
some of the areas.
Yeah, we're saying you have a lot of potential. We wouldn't be tearing him up like this if we didn't think he could be great.
Don't get him right, though. Let me see if I downward dog.
I've been playing.
All right, coming up on that note, we're going to hear from the starters as they play another round of True or False.
Oh,
Make it.